U.S. government spying. But my question is, could you, in heaven's name, help me out with my confusion on this Iran deal? What the heck does this administration expect to get out of making a deal with Iran?
To me, it's a legacy. Yeah, so it's not actually about the deal or whether it stops Iran's nuclear program. It's about the Obama-Biden legacy and Biden trying to, with the same people, Jake Sullivan, Robert Malley, trying to recorrect that West. I think that's where that is. You took this away from us. We want that deal back.
They're desperate for a win, even if it's a hollow win. And there are things about this that are so very, very troubling. And again, as we mentioned a moment ago, and to Bill's point, they are much more intense and committed to renegotiating the Iran nuclear deal than they are to actually keeping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, because even the original deal did not stop it. It delayed it. They want to go back and renegotiate a deal that simply eventually allows Iran to become a country with nuclear weapons, the world's most dangerous country, possessing the world's most dangerous weapon. And you are correct, Jordan. It's all about legacy and this political win in their column, even though our national security is on the line because of it.
Yeah, but here, they don't want more oil from Iran. They don't want, the Green New Deal. They want that all gone. So, it's not like that like we're talking about with Bill. There's not like an exchange here. It's like begging Iran just to allow us to have this idea that we can then tell people, well, we have a nuclear deal with it.
I think that's correct. I think the Biden administration wants to be seen as a firm member of the global elites. So I think the primary benefit for the Biden administration is that they can virtue signal not only to themselves, but to the rest of the world that we believe in collaboration, we believe in openness. Well, maybe Iran gets a nuclear bomb out of all of this, but we feel better about ourselves. It's all about their own selfish interests.
All right, folks, we come back. We continue to take your phone calls at 1-800-684-3110. If you've got questions about infrastructure, this vote, within 24 hours, the rush to vote today, what would you tell your member of Congress? Give us a call, 1-800-684-3110. That's 1-800-684-3110. Track it closely. We'll be back in a minute. We come back on Secular.
Ready to create your own income with your own home-based business where there's no such thing as getting laid off? If a billionaire entrepreneur spent 5 years and $20 million searching for the next big trend, know what he found? If you're serious about making money from home without having to leave home, then write this down. www.goherenext.com. You decide your income. Goherenext.com. Have you ever thought about saying goodbye to your job? Just walking into your boss and saying, I quit. And how would you like to commute to work without ever leaving your home? If a billionaire entrepreneur spent 5 years and $20 million searching for the next big trend, wouldn't you want to know what he found? If you're serious about making money from home without having to leave home, then write this down. www.goherenext.com. You decide your income. Hit the facts now. Goherenext.com.
I like news radio, but at the end of the day, it's just opinion. I need to hear the truth. When all the opinions have been aired, there's really only one authority left standing. God's Word. What does the Bible say about issues? My life issues. Let me hear the thoughts of someone who studied and believes the Bible. Short, high on truth. Family talk. Sometimes I just need more than an opinion. Sirius XM 131. Thanks for making your family a part of ours. Family Talk. Exclusive channel for faith and family. Sirius XM 131.
Make an impact on your world. Listen to Enjoying Everyday Life with Joyce Meyer at 2:45 Eastern Time. Here on Family Talk.
Everyone deserves a good story. That's why Family Fiction is devoted to compiling and celebrating Christian stories of all kinds with a newsletter, digital magazine, and updates. Find it all at familyfiction.com.
Just Secular Live is sponsored by Christian Advocates Living Evangelism Incorporated.
nuclear talks. There weren't a lot of details yet. Was there a U.S. push there? Now it does look the U.S. is not at the table. Won't be, at least as of right now. Between now and when they hold these talks, I have a feeling the Biden team, they've already announced to the world that they're ready to lift all the sanctions. So, they've already told Iran that. Iran wants something more, though. They want unfrozen assets, about $10 billion. So, again, the Biden team, I can just tell them, I can hear them already saying to you, like they talk about this bill paying for itself, that's not really giving Iran anything. That's not, it's not like we're giving Iran money. It's their own money. It was frozen, during the revolution with the hostage crisis, and because they continued to support terrorism, we always kept those funds frozen. But it's not actually costing the American people anything. That's what they're going to have to do if they want a seat back in these discussions. Instead of ratcheting up the sanctions, making it tougher for Russia and China to do business with Iran. So that is obviously an issue we're going to track very closely, continue to go back and update you as we need to as we get close to these talks. But I do want to get to Lisa talking about the spending bills, because these two massive spending bills, they're making a push for votes today. That was the announcement from the White House came out, Pelosi's come out, Schumer's come out. Now they're not 100% they're going to actually finalize voting today. They can leave the vote open. We'll get into some of those details as well. But Lisa in Idaho on line 1. Hey, Lisa, welcome to Secular. You're on the air.
Hi, thank you. I think the IRS aspect of the bill is one of the major ways they're going to collect data on our, like a social credit system like China, because they will be able to see where our finances are going and such, and everything that goes along with that. It's a data collection, and then they'll be able to enforce whatever it is that their agenda is even further.
Well, it's figuring out every aspect of your life with a government sign off, with a check mark, so that they don't have to go to court, Lisa, to get that information about you or any of us. And so very similar to Chinese system, but maybe even somewhat more invasive, because we know that the IRS is more sophisticated, more feared, and more open to political bias in our own country. But yeah, I think that we'd be moving towards a Chinese-like system, Harry, if we allow the IRS to just go in and look at every transaction from everyone without needing court authority.
I think Lisa is absolutely correct. So the IRS provision, in addition to the climate police provision, allows enormous federal government intrusion in our lives. It's also important to keep in mind that the proposed reconciliation bill contains a provision to reduce pass-through deductions. What does that mean? It raises taxes on small businesses. It's also important to keep in mind that under the bill, at least as proposed, there is a provision which would fine businesses up to $700,000 per year as a penalty for each employee who is not vaxxed. This is simply a statutory vaccine mandate proposal. So if you look at the overall Biden framework, it basically would achieve two things. Number one, it would wreck the economy. Number two, it would wreck the lives of the American people. So while President Biden has taken a victory lap today with respect to this so-called framework, the Biden victory lap appears to be just as empty as his victory lap surrounding Afghanistan.
And when I see that, as Lori brought up the issue of the Chinese plan and their social credit system, the truth is that as bad as that plan is and what the Chinese do, they're committing genocide against their own people. That plan's localized. It's actually not run by the central government in China. This IRS plan, and every time we give the IRS more resources and more staff, that is run by our central government. It is run by the federal government. It federalizes the program. It's not a localized system. So I think it's actually worse than what the Chinese are trying to get to in their country.
I agree with you, Jordan. I mean, this is not hyperbole from Lisa. We know from very recent history what the IRS does when they get this kind of data from the American people. They let politics creep in, and they discriminate based on viewpoint. Jordan, this would give the IRS not only a vast additional data, in addition to the tax-exempt status, in addition to the tax reporting forms that you already filed, it would really give them a green light to go into the financial transactions of virtually every American citizen. And once they're in there, Jordan, once they're conducting an audit, they get everything. So look, is Lisa correct to be concerned that eventually they would use it for some of the same purposes that the Chinese are doing? Absolutely right to be concerned about it, because look, they've already done it with the information they've already had. And Jordan, just to underscore something that Harry said too, look, they've now said that they've cut this $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill in half, and then it's only $1.75 trillion. But Jordan, the original bill that was reported out of the Budget Committee was 2,500 pages long. Right now, we have 2 pages. So we really have to be patient at when they do get into the legislative text, what is in there. I mean, Harry mentioned the $2.6 billion for vaccine enforcement. Jordan, later in the bill, they say at border security, you can't check the infection status or the vaccination status of people coming through. So the duplicity in that larger bill was rampant. Can you imagine if they put something together on 24 hours notice and then put it on the floor of the chamber, how many provisions like that would be in a bill like that?
I guess they would be writing this right now, or they would have been writing it last night. I mean, I know that they put that together, but or they can use a piece that's already been passed, the legislative text.
Well, so they would have to do 2 things. The only bill that would be ready for a final vote on the floor of the House today, Jordan, would be that bipartisan bill that passed the Senate in August. They could theoretically bring that bill up and pass it across the floor today. I don't know how they would begin moving this larger $1.75 trillion bill. I think what they would do, Jordan, is take that larger framework that passed out of the Budget Committee and maybe just literally strike through the provisions that they're removing and begin the procedural process. Maybe they put it in front of the Rules Committee and report a rule out for it and then try to vote on it over the weekend. But Jordan, that bill is not going to be able to be finished and across the floor in the House of Representatives today. Speaker Pelosi is going to try to cut a deal and convince liberals that whatever process she started is going to finish. But Jordan, I haven't seen them trust her yet. So color me skeptical that she can accomplish that.
And to me, this is, again, the President Biden, he's putting his presidency on the line about this. I don't think it's not where the American people are. He thinks that they can keep the House and Senate if they pass something like this. But on the flip side, what we do know, and I think the Democrats do know it well, is too, if you start handing out money to American people, you can never end those programs.
No, I think Senator Rubio was correct when he said in the clip that we played that if you get a socialized program out there and you start giving and handing money away for senior services, child tax credits, electrical plug-in stations, etc. And I listened to the litany of things that he said. Once you start handing government money away, it's very hard to repeal it and to take it back or to stop it, because once that train has left the station, it's almost impossible to stop it.
You can look at Social Security, or recently you can look at the Affordable Care Act. I mean, when we said the Republican majority is still trying to undo that. Once you start giving these out, programs out to the American people, even if it starts out not exactly how you want, you give anything away, people are very tough on both sides of the aisle. I will tell you, very tough to get them to give that up. So that's why, again, with these massive spending bills through, it can change culture and change society. So we have to be on top of it. We are at the ACLJ. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Have you been putting off life insurance for a while? With the long application process, medical exams, and blood tests, it's no wonder you put it off. It can seem so confusing, expensive, and time-consuming. But Ethos is a new way to buy life insurance. Ethos is built with you in mind. Instead of a medical exam, you only have to answer a few health questions. Our application is 100% online and can be done in about 10 minutes. You might even get same-day coverage. At Ethos, we match you with the right policy and the right price from top-rated carriers, with no medical exams and no blood tests. Now you can spend less time sorting through confusing paperwork and more time with the loved ones you want to protect. Go to ethoslife.com today to apply in minutes. That's ethoslife.com. Ethos Technologies Inc. operates in some states as Ethos Life Insurance Services. Not available in all states.
The following program is sponsored by New Life Ministries.
The following program has been pre-recorded for broadcast at this time. With host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Here is actually Chris Williams sitting in for Steve today. I'm super fortunate. I just got to say it, because I get to hang out with remarkable people. And today I'm hanging out with two remarkable people, Milan Yurkovich.
Hey, Chris, great to be with you.
And Dr. Alice Benton.
It really is a treat for me too. We're smiling, we're laughing in between segments, and I always get wisdom from you fellas.
You know, and here's a little secret.
Well, and vice versa.
Yeah, so, but that really is it. You know, people will glean wisdom from us on the radio, and that's a huge honor and privilege, but the amount of wisdom and support and help that we get from each other, it's so cool. Such an awesome thing. And so I want to let you know that we have a library of resources at Club New Life. When you become a Club New Life member, there is these videos upon videos that you get that really covers a bunch of different topics. One of mine is coming out here actually tomorrow. And so I'm doing a segment on handling stress. And so with the disruption that we've experienced in our lives with COVID, political unrest, family unrest, all of the different stressors that we experience, I want us to really look at the difference between coping and caring. Because many of us are finding ourselves in patterns of coping with our stress, and that usually ends up creating some negative and potentially destructive patterns rather than caring for our stress. So I'll do a video on that. Come check it out. Club New Life members, when you become a member, you get a welcome gift, and the welcome gift is really this time is centered around time with God. You get 100 days of peace devotional, a New Life journal,